Hey guys, it's Joe from Belgium Community Church with this week's Midweek Minute. This month, on our Sundays, we're walking through the Christmas story through the eyes of Luke, a historian. And this next week, Mary's already found out that she's pregnant, and she goes to visit her cousin Elizabeth, or her relative Elizabeth. And there's this interesting detail when she goes to see her. Elizabeth hears her greeting. The baby leaps in her womb. There's some kind of special, something different than just the normal kick or punch inside Elizabeth's womb. And she says two things to Mary in that moment. She says, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the child you will bear." That kind of makes sense. And then she says, "Blessed is she who has believed that what the Lord has said to her will be accomplished." So she says two things. One, blessed are you, and blessed is the child that you're carrying. That's not a blessing that you and I can share in. We're never going to carry the Son of God in our wombs. That's not a blessing that we get to share. But the second one is a blessing that we can share, which is so wild. Because you see, Elizabeth's husband, when the angel came to her and said, or came to him and said, "Your wife will become pregnant even in her old age," Zechariah didn't believe, and it's like, how can this happen? And so Elizabeth is highlighting the fact that when the angel came to Mary telling her this seemingly impossible thing is actually going to happen, Mary believed. And so Elizabeth is saying, Mary, you are blessed because you believed that everything that God promised is going to happen. And that's actually a blessing that you and I can share in. Now, blessing can be kind of a weird word because some people just think it means happy. Well, you're happy, or you're prosperous, or good things are happening. But blessing is a word that we see when Jesus later on preaches at the Sermon on the Mount. He says, "Blessed are you when, blessed are the merciful, blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are." It's a term that we often see in the Psalms, and it's not just, hey, you're happy. It's actually a declaration of God over people. It's actually a declaration of God over people. The God that spoke the universe into existence. The God that guides and grows his people with his word actually speaks a word of blessing over a person. It's not the world saying it to us. It's actually something that God says to us. And so it's an interesting thing in this story that Mary is called blessed. One, because she's carrying the Son of God in her womb. But she's also called blessed because she believes that God's going to keep his promises. And so this Christmas, you and I can participate in the blessing by believing that God's going to keep his promises. And so all of the promises of God, Corinthians tells us, are yes in Christ. But we can participate in that blessing by believing that God is actually going to keep all of his promises. That he'll never leave us or forsake us. That nobody's going to snatch us out of his hand. We can believe that God is going to come back and save and rescue us. We can believe that he is actually going to wipe away every tear from our eyes, inviting us into the delight that he has always had within himself. We can believe that the wedding feast to come is actually going to have a place for us. And we can be called blessed as we participate in that by believing that he'll keep his promises. And then Christmas becomes an occasion to do that. Christmas becomes an occasion to say, I'm going to believe that all of God's promises are yes. And I'm going to look forward to those. And then, just like with Mary, we can be called blessed by God. Not blessed by the world, but blessed by God. I hope that if this is helpful, you share it with some friends. I hope that this Christmas becomes an occasion of blessing. Like an occasion of believing all of God's promises. Thanks for watching and thanks for sharing.